Yo, Longhairs. Welcome to episode 123 of Let It Ride. Here we talk long hair and business, advocate for hair equality, and celebrate men's long manes with hair whips and high fives. If you're a guy with long hair, you're in the right place. I'm El Sicario, warehouse manager of the Longhairs, joined by El Garvinsky, our media producer. With us here at the Longhairs Global Headquarters is our guest on today's episode. He is the owner of 3-in-1 Sports Bar and Grill based right here in San Diego. He's also a cigar connoisseur, but most importantly, he's one of my personal best friends. Please welcome Rick Fernandez.
All right.
Hey,
what's up, Rick?
How are you guys doing?
Thanks for joining us here.
It's good to be here, man. This is your second appearance on the show. The first one, though, we did, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it was 20... I think that, yeah, you know what? It was 2021 because we were still based in the former HQ.
Yeah.
And so we moved here just under a year ago. So, yeah, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
That one was great, man, because we got to smoke because we were in the...
we had some cigars. We had a little bit of a noise issue and catching the mics.
The HVAC system.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are not familiar with Sir Rick Fernandez, can give him a breakdown of what 3-in-1 is.
I have Sports Bar and Grill, located here in just south of downtown San Diego, East Lake, city of Chula Vista. We are a neighborhood bar, but we're a bit unique because we have a full bar and grill, and we also have a cigar lounge, an enclosed cigar lounge, and a 300 square foot walk-in humidor that sells premium cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing the neighborhood feel and the sports bar, but given an option for cigars.
Right on. And as far as I'm aware, you're still the only cigar lounge in your area, right?
We are. There's another cigar shop, but it's pretty corporate, standard cigars. We do a lot of boutique cigars, and we bring in a lot of smaller companies that I personally enjoy, and I think that they don't get enough advertisement because they're not in the big magazines or any of that stuff. And because we're a neighborhood bar, it's cool. I mean, you've obviously been there a lot. And
they've been going there for years.
Had great conversations and sit down and cigars.
Yeah.
And
one thing I like about your humidor is it feels curated. I don't feel like I'm just walking in and there's just every big name box on the shelf. I feel like there's stuff that's what? I never even heard of this.
Yeah. I like that. In business sense, I probably should just have name brands and let it go. But if you have a good relationship, which in a neighborhood bar you do, with your guests, with your friends. I don't even like the word guests because they become friends.
Yeah.
They'll trust in you that when you describe, especially in a cigar, hey, this is very similar to this, they'll want to try it out. And
yeah, I mean, I know, I've been smoking cigars. This will be my 7th year or something like that. Not that I really keep track, but I'm pretty sure I started around 2016. And I know I've gone to some of the other, and all the ones that I don't want to call anyone out, but all the ones.
They're all great in San Diego.
They're all great, yeah. But I've been to pretty much all of them, and some of them are a little more commercial, corporate-y, like you're saying. And one thing I noticed about those, nothing wrong with it. I mean, I just love that I can go somewhere to smoke a cigar. But when they have all the big box names, I tend to just grab the same.
Yeah.
The same ones.
Location is everything too, Jose. Though I mean, we're in a neighborhood bar. I don't have foot traffic, and a lot of the other places are more. Yeah. Foot traffic,
commercial
tourists.
districts and stuff. Yeah.
So you want to keep in that scenario the name brands.
Yeah, but one thing I like about your spot is when I walk in there, I'm actually encouraged to try something different because there's just so many cigar makers in there that I'm not even aware of.
Yeah, and that's actually a something that I discovered in my business partner Ray, we discovered unintentionally. I wish I could say, well, this is the game plan. It wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
It was that I enjoyed boutique or smaller cigar companies.
Yeah.
No, when we say smaller cigar companies, they're still producing over 1 million cigars a year.
Right. Yeah.
Some of these companies.
Yeah.
They're not,
For sure.
two guys sitting in a hotel in Nicaragua for a month and going, I created my own cigar.
Yeah. Come
check this out. No. They're actually well known. They just don't have the big advertising budget, and they don't put it out there. And you're not going to see that band on an NFL player that might win a championship game or something. They don't have that. That's okay. But I liked them, and I wanted to introduce them to my friends, to some people, because people want to know, what are you smoking?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm smoking Roma Craft. Well, what is that? If I don't have it, how am I? I'm buying it as a retailer, and I'm smoking in my own lounge, so that's why I want to do that. And then, when people come up to me and approach me at cigar conventions or shows, or come to our location, and they're like, "Hey, I'd really like to do an event." I can't lose in those scenarios. And my guests, my friends who are there, they're the ones guiding me. They're like, "This is a pretty good cigar."
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's put a couple on the shelf. Let's put a couple boxes and see how it is.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that we talk about a lot on our show is just like community, fostering community, fostering masculinity. And one thing I really love, I know we talked about this a lot like last time, but it's been 2 years. We can touch on it again. But one thing I really grew to appreciate, especially like pre-pandemic when we would do the meetups every Thursday, is I can enter a room, just bunch of random strangers smoking cigars, and I'm gonna walk out with some friends.
Yeah.
I may not even have their phone number. I'll probably only see them when we happen to run into each other at the lounge, but it doesn't matter. I can sit down with that guy and have a smoke with him, and we can talk about anything, and I've seen hundreds of guys in that room just all enjoying cigars. I've never seen one fight.
Never.
I've never heard insults. Playful, but like real insults with intent. Like I've never heard any, like I've heard spirited debates, but I've never heard arguments. And there's something magic about getting a bunch of dudes together. Everyone has a cigar, everyone has their beverage of choice, and it's just no cell phone. Maybe the game's on, but there's been times with the game's on and nobody's even paying attention because we're just talking about this thing,
Yeah.
And
probably a bad example to bring up here on this type of show, but it's the barbershop.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's the barbershop, and as you know, I have long hair. I don't go to a barbershop.
Right.
But you hear it based on the barbershop, but the difference in the barbershop, it's a small little, 15, 20 minutes, people are hanging out, but you don't have a lounge setting. And yes, you and I have discussed and talked about this, and a lot of times on different venues, whether it be a podcast or on a live feed or whatever, it does come up, but it's something that is so true. In that cigar lounge, you can take away race, religion, political, economic status of any of the participants of hanging out in that cigar lounge, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Any form of an opinion, right, left, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Economic status. You can have a young man that's, just starting out in his or her career. We always say men, but there are women. And maybe they're, at an entry-level job, making a little bit over minimum wage and putting in their 40 hours, sitting having a cigar with a guy or a female that's making well over $1 million a year. And that's not the discussion part.
Yeah.
Now, how much do you make, or what are you about? Even the cigar status, you can have somebody smoking a, relatively inexpensive cigar, and somebody smoking a very high-end cigar.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't want to sit with you. I don't want to have a conversation with you because of that. That doesn't happen.
No one does that, yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's amazing in that aspect. And it's it truly is that you can you can bleed your soul, so to say, in a cigar lounge, where if you did that as sitting at a bar, you'd be like, hey man, you know what? I didn't come here to hear your woes.
Yeah.
Or if you did that somewhere else, you know, well, I believe this way. Well, I believe this way. Well, you should believe the way I believe. And if not, we're going to fight. That doesn't happen in a cigar lounge.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, especially, we were actually talking about this a little bit prior to the show going live, but this, you know, the way with like social media and how disconnected and divisive everything is, a lot of, and especially, you know, we just had I mean, we're 2 years out now, it's time to move on, but you know what I mean? Like, where life is kind of in this weird, like, we are back to normal, but we just remembered how no one got to talk to each other for a little bit. And then even before the pandemic, people were already just so disconnected. And so I feel like, you know, I know for a fact, as someone that helps like with social media and stuff, I see guys that flock to our brand because we're not just a brand, we're a community. We're a place for guys to congregate and to identify as part of something, right? And for some people it might be very silly, like, oh, well, it's just hair. It's like, right, but it's your body. It's part of your identity.
Well, the first time I heard about it, I thought it was unique as could be. I mean, being a guy with long hair and a long beard, I just found it unique. Yeah, and I wanted to know more. I thought, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it,
right?
But it was so cool.
Yeah.
And the people that I've met through you being here and have come to the lounge and have come to the restaurant and have come there and just being here today, it's incredible. You know? So sure, it's unique and different because we all have long hair.
Sure.
All right? That's the start of it, but it's still the people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's great. And so the social, like we were talking about earlier, the social media aspect of it, of course, the immediate gathering is the fact that, well, you all have long hair, but it's going to go, I feel, it's going to go up and beyond that. You know, it's all of a sudden, hey, this is pretty cool. You got to listen to these guys' podcasts, the Longhairs. What's that all about? Yeah.
And one thing that motivates me so much to be a part of this team is that, sure, there's brands out there that may sell a bunch of stuff and people love it and it's wearing it as a status symbol, but it's not an identity. It's not something that someone says, I'm a part of X brand, right? Yeah. Versus what we're trying to do is, the product is not just the item. The product is you with the product. This is your golden ticket to be part of this fraternity of these guys. You know, I mean, these guys have convinced thousands of people to donate their hair to make wigs for children. Like, that's power. Yeah, that's influence, awesome. Right? And I think that's positive influence.
Yeah.
And I think that parallels a lot with how the cigar world is, where, like you were saying, you know, you walk in there and no one asks you, hey, how much do you make? Who did you vote for? Right? Like, no one cares. Right. Just like with us over here, no one cares where you're from or what, you know. We have this thing, and there's only one thing that we really need to have, and not even need to. You don't have to have long hair to buy our products or to be a part of our group. But the point is, everyone has long hair. No one cares about anything other than that, you know. And we even do a lot of stuff for prosthetic hair too, if you in case, you know, you can't grow hair or whatever. And but like, we don't discriminate. Just like in the cigar world, I'm not saying it's never happened, but I've never been discriminated against. And some of my favorite memories of just traveling and stuff are like a perfect example. I'm gonna give you a story. I was in Blacksburg, Virginia, and I had just gotten home from Iraq this was when I was still a private military contractor. And on the way home from there, I stopped in Frankfurt, Germany, and they have a massive airport. Man, it might be bigger than LAX. Like, it's truly enormous. And I went to the duty free, and of course, depending on who you ask, those are Cuban cigars. They have Cubans, but they're either real or they're not, right? Yeah. To me, I wasn't
Frankfurt back then, I would guarantee it's pretty real.
Yeah, this was like 2017.
Yeah.
Real? Okay, thank you. Or at least you're lying
Real.
to me, but at least
No. I mean,
okay.
You know,
Okay.
you're in a duty-free store. They're gonna.
Yeah. So I bought a whole box of is it H. Upmann?
H. Upmann, yeah. Cigar of the year this year, by the way, 2022.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm pretty sure it was Upmann.
First time ever a Cuban cigar was Cigar of the Year
Really?
for Cigar Aficionado.
Wow. Good to know. I'm
Side note.
pretty sure it was Upmann. It's been years now, so I can't remember, but it doesn't matter. I bought this box and I was like, I'm giving most of these away. I just want to bring these Cubans home and have some, and then I'll just give them away. The rest, that's how, of course,
Sure.
you're a lifelong cigar guy, so
Yeah.
So one of my best friends was going to school at Virginia Tech at the time, and so I decided, I'm stopping in DC anyway. It's not terribly close, but it's fairly close to where he's at. So I was like, I'll just rent a car and I'll just drive to go see him. And then so on one of the days I was there, we decided, hey, let's go have some beers and see if we can burn some stogies anywhere. And then it just so happens there's a private cigar club there. It's like the second story of this bar. And so we were walking. I was like, "Hey, dude, my torch is out of gas. Like, He's like, I was like, "Is there like a smoke shop or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's this place. They sell like bongs, and I think they have like a walk-in humidor or something. Just one of those, right?" So we walk in, and surprisingly, like this half of the shop was all glass for bongs,
Sure.
tobacco bongs, I'm sure.
Right. Tobacco pipes, water pipes.
Yeah, and then but like the other half of the shop was all cigar stuff. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this guy actually has a lot of cigar stuff in here. And then of course, you get to talking, and then I told him like, I brought these Cubans. My friend's about to have his first cigar with me, and I just need to refill my lighter. And then the guy was like, oh, well, I've met this so-and-so, and I've gone to the cigar convention every year for there's like that big one in Las Vegas, right?
Vegas, yeah.
He's like, I've gone there every year for I don't know how many years, and I was like, really? And I thought, of course, it's like the fishing story. Every time you talk about it,
how big that fish is.
And he's like, yeah, I had cigars with Sylvester Stallone in like 1990, whatever. And then he's like, watch here, let me. And then he opened the door to his back office, and there were pictures of him with all these people. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's serious.
Yeah.
And then, so I bought great conversation, bought the lighter fluid, went back to the car to get my lighter. And then we had to pass his shop again to go to the cigar club. And I was like, hey, I told my friend's name is Dan. I was like, hey, Dan, you know what? I just want to give him one of these Cubans. Like, that was a great conversation. Hey, one cigar guy to another, right? And so I go in there, I'm like, hey man, I just had a great conversation with you, man. I just want you to have one of my Cuban cigars. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, of course. And he's like, dude, I haven't had a Cuban in like 9 years. Or he said some number. And I was like, well, here, now it's day 0,
Yeah.
And so we leave, walking. Now we're walking again to the cigar club, and then he comes running out. And I thought he was gonna like, here, man, you gave me one, I'm gonna give you one now from my shelf. And he was like, hey, I actually own that cigar club. He's like, so when you go, tell him that so-and-so sent you, and you'll just drink for free. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, in fact, I own all the bars on this street. He's like, I just have this shop because it pays it's like my cigar hobby just pays for itself with this shop.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, that's the power of cigars, man.
Yeah.
Just this guy, this super rich guy, has already lived his life, wants for nothing. And I gave him a Cuban, and then I just had a fantastic experience, all expenses. I mean, alcohol, all expenses paid. I drank like a king that day, I'll tell you what. But I found that anywhere I've gone, where I find people that are into the ritual of smoking, like I've had, I was in Kurdistan, and I just had a bunch of contractors that I worked with, and then this like really shitty place to be on. The part of that place where we were at was really dangerous, but like we found this one coffee shop, and we could smoke inside, and so it was like in the middle of all this like austere environment, I found a group of guys I can still congregate with, with guns and all that, what have you. And like, and we were smoking cigars, like, all right, hey, you know what? Time out, dude. For the next 45 minutes, we're just going to have a good time.
That's it.
Yeah. And I'm not suggesting that everybody starts smoking, but I do think it's that something as silly as like this tube of tobacco wrapped in tobacco can help guys foster their own little micro communities of just, and it's just another way for guys to get together and
well, that's the thing is, you and
connect.
I both smoke cigars.
Yeah.
We're sitting here talking about it. We're not encouraging anybody to do it.
Right.
It's a different lifestyle. I see so many people that do it that have never had a cigar, and they come in and they want to try it out. Hey, try it. You might love it. You might hate it. You might not want it, but it's an experience. That's what you're dealing with. And you've heard me say this to several people in the lounge. Well, why is this cigar better than this cigar? And I said, the cigar that you're smoking with the friend, with the loved one, with your group of friends, is more important, is less important than the actual atmosphere that you're smoking it in.
Right.
Because that's it. You can have the greatest tobacco ever, and you're sitting in your backyard, and maybe you're on your phone or you're looking through your emails, and you get notification of something that you've either done wrong or something that might cause you issues. Yeah. You get an email from the IRS. Hey, we're auditing you. It'll be the greatest cigar in the world. You're going to be like, oh, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know? But you could be sitting around with a group of friends and have a cheap-ass, horrible cigar, and it's going to be the best cigar ever because you're having a great conversation. You're with your friends. You're on vacation. You're overlooking the water. You're overlooking the mountains. Whatever the scenario that you put yourself into, that's there. You know, and I think that works different when we talk about whether it be alcohol. You know, if you're having a really good bourbon, it's really good bourbon. If you have a really cheap bourbon, it's a really cheap bourbon. But the atmosphere with cigars that you're in makes a big difference for a majority of people. Sure. For a majority of people. Yeah. Someone who's into it, they're going to be able to tell you, this is crap. I'm not gonna deal with it. Right. But we were talking earlier, not today, but the last time you were in and we were chatting, and I was telling you I went to Nashville. With my friends. Yeah. I met up with some high school friends from 30 years ago. And you know, speaking of cigars, of course they all knew I've got this cigar place, and they all knew how much I'm into cigars, and they wanted to have a cigar with me. And there was some of the guys in there that they're not cigar guys. Like they don't enjoy it, but they had a great time having a cigar with me. We were all catching up. We were all bonding again. We were all talking about stories, learning about each other's families, even though, tying in today's conversation earlier, even though through social media we've already kind of knew it. Oh, how's your daughter doing? I know she goes here. Oh, how's your son doing? I know he was doing this, because you update. You know, there's two aspects of that social media. There's the marketing and business behind it, which I was asking you and we were talking about earlier. You know, I get a little confused of how influential things are. Though I understand it, I just don't see how that's such a big push. Right. But I do understand it. In comparison to when you post something about your friends, about what's going on in your life, to express to your friends and family. You know, and I've heard people say this, oh, well, you only post the good things. Well, I'm glad when you only post the good things. I certainly don't want you to have bad things to post. We all have got scenarios in our lives that are bad, or bad news or whatever. Sure. I mean, I understand. I want to be empathetic and I want to be there for you. You know, give me a call. Let's talk. Yeah. We don't need everybody in our circle to be involved in that. Right. Now, if that's what makes you feel better to get that reinforcement from that circle, then post that. I'm going to give you that reinforcement. Yeah. That's not how I work. Right. I don't post, you know, oh my gosh, I have a wart on my finger I need to get removed. That's not me. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm posting more in regards to, hey, I'm excited. I'm going on a vacation, or I just went on a motorcycle ride, or this was great. That's the way I express myself out on my personal social media. On the business social media, you know, obviously it's different. I'm informing. I'm giving you information. I'm hoping this information will, you know, influence you or enlighten you to saying, hey, yeah, I want to go there. Oh, I want to check this out. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I want to learn more about it.
Yeah. I like that you brought up the story of meeting or hanging out with your old pals again.
Yeah.
And especially when you say like they're my friends from 30 years back.
30 years.
Because I'm 32 years old, man. I don't even have a memory of 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's like not even a concept that I can contemplate right now, right? Because
some of these guys, Jose, seriously, I have not seen since 1986. That's
wild, man. And I think, especially because, like I said, we're very big on fostering community here. And at this stage in your life where you've had so much life experience and you've been able to build this, your boys are doing great, business is great, happy marriage, all that stuff. I think a lot of guys could really benefit from just hearing guys like you share how you got here, right?
This group of guys, we all graduated between 86, 87, 88, 85. There's a few 85s in there. Basically, every year they would go out and do a sports weekend. Mm-hmm. And not right after high school, obviously, some people went military, mm-hmm. College, into business, then college, whatever, got married. A few years out, 4 to 5 years out, a group of them would start getting together and would create these sports weekends. And what I mean by that is that they would say, hey, let's go watch the Notre Dame and USC game at Notre Dame. We'll get together, because some people lived maybe in DC, and others were living in New York, and others were living in Virginia, or mm-hmm. moving around, and they would all meet out for the weekend. And mm-hmm. I was the only one that's West Coast. I was the only one in California, and they kept inviting me, and I was always have something going on. I saving for kids' colleges, or businesses were doing okay back then, but we were not where we are today.
Sure.
So I'd always decline, or hey, I can't make it. And then I all of a sudden stopped getting the invites. We'd still keep touch social media, mm-hmm. but not stop getting invites. Well, recently a friend of mine came out here, and his son was playing volleyball for Harvard and went to play at USD, and it was during COVID protocols. Mm-hmm. So Harvard versus USD, his wife and him and his wife had planned to come out already to see that. They knew I was out here, and he couldn't go to the game, so he came to my bar, and we ended up getting it on one of the streaming things, and we watched his son play, and it was great. When we were there, so we were talking, and he's like, hey, your boys are older, they're doing good now, they're on their own. You and your wife, good. You got this business. You got a full management team. He says, mm-hmm. I don't think there's any more excuses you have left. you got to meet up with us.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I don't care where we're going. If you tell me we're meeting in Tokyo, I'm there. If we tell you we're meeting in Dubai, I'm there.
Yeah.
Wherever it is, I'm 100% going. So a few weeks later, the text message comes out to the group, and it says, hey, we're going to Nashville, Tennessee on this weekend, and we're going to go watch the Rangers versus Predators game, and if time allows or tickets are available, we're going to catch an NFL game.
Oh, wow.
I was the first one to respond.
Nice.
I'm going.
Yeah.
And even some of the guys go, yeah, Rick, we've heard that before. So then I had booked my flight.
Sure.
And I took a picture of it, and I sent the confirmation. I was like, I am 100% going. So then it started growing from there. And so my best man at my wedding, my best friend, mm-hmm. Growing up, was like, well, shit, I was on the fence, but I'm definitely going to go now, And so we ended up with like 16 of us going there, and it was so great to catch up with people and see them, and just it was like we almost got back to like we were in high school again a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody caused we didn't cause any fights or anything. Like we weren't idiots,
but it's almost like old friends take you back to where you were when you became friends.
Yeah, we had. I mean, we laughed, we joked, we enjoyed our cocktails. That's for sure. But nobody's passing out, or we're not at that age. No one's throwing up. Yeah, it was more of like, hey man, I hit the wall. It's 1 a.m. and
yeah,
I'm going back to the hotel and crashing. But It was so much fun. I mean, we tailgated. We ended up going to the Broncos versus Titans game on Sunday. We tailgated, smoked a bunch of cigars, and just the conversation, just being able to learn more about what they're doing and where they're about, and the destination for 2023 is still unknown, though there's a big push now for them to all come out here.
Oh, nice.
They did one time go to Vegas, but it was a smaller group, like 4 or 5 of them. And it was a last minute thing.
Yeah.
And I literally would have just driven out there.
Sure.
Like that one I could have gone to, but I was with other plans and I wasn't able to go. But
you should go to like a Padres game or something.
Well, we're trying to do something because they golf a lot too. So a lot of them golf. I told them if we plan the perfect scenario sports weekend, especially if it's September sometime, we could literally catch a Padres game, a San Diego State game, a Chargers or Rams game, and play golf.
Yeah, that'd be big.
So the push is on for it, but I told my wife we're in a different scenario than we were, back in the day when, you're being more responsible, and instead of spending a couple $1,000, just go do a weekend.
Yeah, I've done that before.
We were being a little more responsible back then, and but I told my wife I'm never missing one of these weekends again.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I just
I
gotta make sure that I get that. Just catching up with my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally, we went to bars. Nashville's fantastic, great music, and great social, areas to go and socialize and have a good time. But just, man, even breakfast in the morning, just sitting with a group of, half of us that got up and we're eating breakfast together was just fantastic.
So, like I said before, I can't even conceptualize like having friends of 30 years, but my best friends, we've been friends since my time in the Marine Corps, so it's like 10 years ago I've been out, and I've noticed, and I've heard this a lot, oh yeah, you're friends and then you just drop off and get busy and then you fade, you guys just fade away. And to me, I've definitely had friends fade off and I'll probably never speak to them again. But then like my best friends have been my best friends, like without missing a beat. Like you said, you guys still check in, and and so I think that a lot of guys, there are guys that like unfortunately don't find friends that are that good, right? And then there are guys that do have really good friends, and then like I said before, kind of the fade off over time thing. And I think that a lot of guys could really benefit from just learning, like, how do you keep friends that long? And how do you not just keep friends, because like I hate the like, oh, how are you doing? And then like the next time I talk to them in 6 months is the same thing over again. Oh, how are you doing? How's the kids? So to me, I always tell people like, well, a friendship, just like any other relationship that's worth it, is work. You have 100%. To make the effort. And to me, obviously you have priorities, right? But at the same time, once those priorities have been met, the relationships, they take effort, right? And so you can't just be someone's friend when it's convenient for you. If you want that relationship to last the test of time, you have to make the effort. It can't just be just checking in, like, and of course, there's no time limit on friendship. Sometimes you just get busy, and sometimes you don't hear from them for a couple months or even a couple years. But at a certain point, if you want that person to stick around, you have to make the effort, right? And I think this is a perfect example of, like, we're all busy. We all have our lives. We all have our families. We all have our jobs. But let's just, there's 365 days in the year, and we're going to try to make 3 of those days about staying friends.
And that was the key point, and it was even brought up. They were like, man, where have you been? Yeah. And I explained it well. I couldn't swing it, and it was forgotten about. Now the plan is this year, and more of some of the guys that maybe couldn't swing it or getting involved. And it's fun. I mean, a lot of these guys are on the East Coast, so like they get together, like they just got together actually this past 2 Saturdays ago. 4 of them, or talented musicians. 2 of the 4 make a living as a musician.
Okay.
But when they were in high school, they were a little band. And they got together and kind of recreated the band thing at a bar.
Wow.
And I mean, I was so tempted when they were announcing and talking about it. I was like, how do I fly out there and just go see that?
Yeah.
You know, and I could have made that probably happen. But, you know, again, it's not even a priority thing now or a financial thing now. It's more of a, I got some other traveling I'm doing and looking at and stuff. And it's really not that smart to kind of go out for a long weekend in New York to listen to my friends play. But I loved interacting with them and social media and seeing all the pictures and all the people that came out. But they all live within, you know, an hour and a half drive from where they all met. I mean, I have to fly. A couple of the guys are in Florida and Virginia, like I was saying earlier, and in DC. Well, the DC guy, actually, he went. Him and his wife went. But you're right. You have to cultivate that relationship. But there is something about a bond that you create, whether it be through high school or Marines, something that you have a bond that you create that keeps you there within that friendship, even if you don't speak on a regular basis. Now, if somebody called me up, if one of my friends from high school, like one of the group called me up and said, hey, my daughter's thinking about going to San Diego State, you know, she's flying out there with her mom, they'd love to see if you get together. I mean, I'd do anything I could to make that happen and not feel like I'm being used or asked or any of that other stuff like that. That would be so cool to catch up.
Sure.
That's how I would look at it. If I needed legal advice and I wanted to contact one of my friends that's a lawyer, I would reach out. I would ask that favor. I wouldn't expect it for free or any of that, but I would reach out and see, and you feel more comfortable. I do have a fear, though, not with my old friends, but like some friends from college, except for my roommates, we're still very, very tight, but some friends from college I lost track with. And I bum out. And then some friends that I made being here in California, and now we're no longer friends because, you know, the fear of somebody doing wrong to you and actually proving it sucks. You know, it's not like somebody ripped me off for, you know, $10,000, but I've had people that I'm no longer friends with because I lent them $300 and they don't want to pay it back. Yeah, and I don't care. They could have just come up to me and said, "Hey, man, I'm stuck in a jam and I got some personal issues," and I let it go. Yeah. But now we're no longer friends. Like, that person's never going to come into my restaurant, and that person's never going to text me or call me. Yeah. Because I lent him $300 and he couldn't pay it back. Like, that drives me insane to think about that.
I've had situations like that for sure, and I see it two different ways simultaneously. Both are kind of, in the end, positive. The first one is when someone, I mean, overall, the power of no is just infinite. So if you really can't afford to lend someone the money, don't do it.
100%.
Right? If you're going to lend someone money, you're not doing it with the expectation of being repaid. You have to be willing to never see that money again. Right? Just by the very nature that they don't have money to begin with. So where are they going to come up with the cash you just gave them? But anyway, and I'm sure you thought of that already. But going back to my two things, right? The first one is, I didn't help them because I expected some kind of benefit. So if they burn me in the end, that's fine. At least I can walk away knowing I helped this person because I just wanted to genuinely help them. Their reaction to my help is not reflective of who I am. It's reflective of who they are. Yeah. Number two, I think this was like is it a Bronx Tale or something like that?
Yes, you're right. It is a scene from
where
Bronx
like
Tale.
You lent this guy.
You paid to never have to deal with him.
You paid to never have to deal with a shitty friend again. Yeah,
$20.
I see it that way, and I've been burnt by people before, And then ultimately it was like, you know what? That amount of money is the tithe I had to pay to get rid of a shitty friend.
It's just incredible, though, in this particular scenario. And I was actually rather shocked that he was asking me, because I know of his situation, and $300 is not a lot of money.
It's almost,
and I was
more
confused
insulting.
by it.
Yeah.
But then I thought, well, again, it's $300. You know, with all due respect, that's not going to hurt me at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't judge anybody on that. Somebody think $300. Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah.
That's not going to hurt me at all.
Yeah.
And he asked for it with the intentions on paying me back in 30 days at $600. And I said, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was more of like an embarrassment. And he started the conversation with its embarrassment. And then a mutual friend of ours that he's much closer to, I reached out to. And he said to me, that's weird that he didn't come to me. Then I found out later that he had borrowed money from him at a time, and they almost lost their friendship because he hadn't paid it back in the timely manner. After 30 days go by, this guy reaches out to me, keeps good communication, and says, dude, I'm so sorry. I don't have it, but I'm going to have it here in the next, few weeks. He says, I says, hey, no worries. I says, I'm going to meet my friends in Nashville on the November, whatever it was. I says, just let me make sure I get it before then. Yeah, no problem. So what made me angry about all this, it was all the communication leading up to him not paying me.
Yeah.
If he had come to me after 30 days and go, man, I screwed up, I did this, I don't have it, I don't know how I'm going to get it, I said, don't ever worry about it, it's a done deal. But he was adamant about when he could pay me, when he was going to.
Yeah.
He kept the meter running.
Yeah.
Great explanation.
Yeah.
And even to the day that he was supposed to come in, he was telling me, I'm stuck in traffic up in the Orange County area.
Oh, man.
I'm driving down. I'll be there.
You know what that tells me?
And then ghost.
This guy this guy does this to a lot of people, probably.
Oh.
This person does it to a lot of people, and so they have all these prepared.
We're in a group text.
Yeah.
A cigar group text.
Okay.
He's a cigar guy.
Oh no.
And I've known before I owned 3 in 1. Before I opened it. In a cigar group text. So I put out to the cigar group, not blasting him, but I did mention him, that I've got a problem. How do I handle this, gentlemen? And I put it out to the group of guys, which we have a retired sheriff in the group. We've got age brackets that go from 30 to 65, in all different avenues and approaches and careers and personalities and everything. And I got no feedback within the group. I got a bunch of feedback personally,
yeah.
Hey, maybe this, and I brought it up. And 3 of the multiple guys in the group, which I think is 16 or 20 deep in the text group, 3 of them all reached out and said, hey, we lent him money too. We did get it back, but it took well over a long time and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, I have no interest in the money whatsoever. Zero. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He comes in and hands it to me. I'm not going to be like, no, you keep it.
Yeah.
But I cannot believe the character of this person.
Yeah.
And the people that text me individually were like, yeah, you actually helped out because he asked me recently for money and I just wasn't in a position to give it to him.
Yeah.
And he's running scams. He's running these little scams, but he's been with our group. I've known this guy for 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he's gotten away with it. Like, is he setting people up? Like, is it that long of a scam? And we're again, Jose, $300. What are you doing? Unless you maybe go to Vegas and lay it all on red and hopefully it becomes 600.
Who knows what kind of situation
you lay
that guy's
it
in?
all on black to make it 1,200. Like, I don't get it.
I think this is a lesson in the importance of integrity.
Ooh, man.
A man is nothing without integrity. You can't have honor. You can't have anything.
The suggestions that came out of what to do.
Yeah.
Nothing was like, go kick his ass. No.
Yeah.
We're not 15-year-old kids and have fighting over a girl.
And I mean,
the things that they were saying I really didn't want. It was too much of a work. They were like, send a certified letter to his wife and his house.
Oh dear.
I'm like, you know what? I have
Your time
no
is worth more than
interest
$300
in any of that. The reason why this conversation's even happening, or I've brought it up in conversation, is I just want to learn how, why, where does that come about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you burn a friend?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say, humble yourself? You're humbling when you asked for it.
Yeah.
Just be more humble that you can't pay it back.
Yeah.
Come in and just, hey man, I'm in a jam. Like I could probably give you like $20 this week, and hey, you don't have to worry about it. Just let it go. Get yourself right. Do better for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's no excuse for something like that. Especially, think about it. If you don't have $300 of money, you have $300 of time.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Hey Rick, you lend me that money. I don't have it, but you know what? You got a restaurant. I got manual labor, dog. I can pay you back with labor. Will you accept that? Like, or maybe 50-50, or maybe.
But you got to humble yourself.
Yeah.
So what drives me crazy about this, and why it keeps bringing us, is the character of this person was not a scam artist.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's what the perfect thing is.
Mm-hmm.
So now do I take someone like you come and introduce a guy that you know, and we hang out at the lounge, and then he shows up more and more and all this other stuff, and then we start talking. We're like, hey, I'm gonna buy this motorcycle off this guy. Is he a scam artist? I mean, I don't want to live that kind of life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that just take that, and
sure.
My brother's one of them. My brother thinks that everyone's out to get you.
Yeah.
Man, I can't live that way.
I don't want to live like that either, man.
Man, I just don't, I don't want to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what drives me crazy. That's what brings this upon more.
Yeah.
I don't, it's not wasted energy to me, because it's communicating to find out what other people's experiences are. And we see so much similarity in other people's life. I lent this guy 100, or I lent this guy this, and this person didn't do that, or this person that. I've got great stories in regards to lending people money that have paid me back great.
Yeah.
Or great stories of people that were in a jam, and they came out of the jam, and here, man, I know I owed you this,
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Yeah, and you can only imagine the hell that guy's in, constantly running from this guy and taking from Peter to pay Paul and all that stuff.
It's a pretty screwed up pyramid scheme if you're not making the kind of money that you would. If you're going to scam big. You scam for 300. Right? I don't get it. Like, not that I'm encouraging scamming, but like, what are you doing? You're robbing a bank for $1?
You're burning all your bridges for $300. Yeah, but I would say. I call this the subtle art of being a good dude. You want a great girlfriend, or you want a great wife. You had your dream of having the perfect wife, the perfect friends, the perfect everything, perfect job. If you're not a good dude, none of that's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you're not a good dude, you're going to end up being a guy that is running from everyone because he owes $300. So I always tell people, like, before you want to change the world, make your bed. Yeah. That's not my quote. That's a quote I learned. So then that's unearned wisdom that I have that I pass on to people. If your house isn't in order, man, I mean, how are you going to invite anyone in?
You learn a lot, not just through age. Obviously, the more experiences in age you have than somebody who's younger that hasn't had as many experiences. Mm-hmm. But it's not a measurable thing where, I've done this. Mm-hmm. Well, I've done this. Well, I've traveled here. Well, I've traveled here. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of that. You certainly do have to develop yourself, whether it be spiritually. Mm-hmm. That's what brings your moral compass or your ethics in line.
Yeah.
Or through experiences.
Yeah.
You're a big dude, and you shoved the wrong person and got laid out.
Yeah.
You might think the next time because of that experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I thinking the next time somebody asks me to borrow $100? Maybe. I don't think so. I think I'm going to be the same person that I am. And of course now it is easier in the sense that, when I lent it to him, think, well, if I don't get this back, I'm in a jam.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I wasn't in a jam when I left for Nashville to meet my friends.
Yeah.
That wasn't a part of it. I was just utilizing that. I'm almost trying to make him feel better. Like, hey, don't worry about it, man. Relax.
Yeah.
I'm taking off in November. Pay me, before I take off. And then the week of, he communicated to me. I didn't even reach out to him. Hey, man, you got that money? I'm taking off on Friday.
Yeah.
Or Thursday, whatever. You know what I mean? He communicated to me, hey, I know I owe you and you need it for this week. I'm going to come down on Tuesday or whatever it was.
Yeah. And think about this. Put this into perspective. You mentioned like you don't want to become jaded because someone betrayed your trust. But think about it. You left behind one shitty friend to go see 16 or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Great friends. And that's a good reminder of like, you got to keep the positive mental attitude. You're going to find shitheads no matter what.
I've been approached too by within that group. Hey, what if he reaches out? What if he came in there next week and gave you the money and reached out? Well, I mean, spiritually, yeah, I'd forgive him. I forgive him now.
Yeah.
I don't need the money.
You should forgive him because you deserve to forgive, not because he deserves.
Doesn't mean I need to trust him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
It doesn't mean I need to interact with him. I don't need to let him in my lounge because of the character that he was and he showed. Even if he has changed, doesn't mean I have to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But I can let things go.
For sure.
Again,
Yeah, and so we're gonna, as we start to wrap things up, is there any wisdom as a man of many travels and many life experiences that you'd like to impart on us youngins?
Have fun.
Just have fun?
Yeah. Don't let, I think it's a book. I've never read it, but don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean, let me put $2,000 on my credit card and go on this trip here and I'll figure out how to pay it later. That's not necessarily the small stuff. I'm saying enjoy your life. Do I regret not meeting up with my friends all those years? I do. I wish I had. But I had other priorities and I did that. We put 2 kids through college. We've paid off our mortgage. We have no debt. So I'm living it now. Do I regret doing that stuff? I probably could have made some other stuff work. I could have humbled myself and been like, hey, man, I can't afford it, guys. I got this going on. I got this going on. I just didn't go. Enjoy your time. And there's a lot of beautiful things you can do in this country, outside of this country, in traveling that costs very little money. For me, finding serenity in whether it be a sunset or a sunrise or looking at a mountain or
burning a stogie.
Burning a stogie or, even sitting alone and listening to your own thoughts and, whether you're spiritually and, God's prayer or however you live your life, don't hurt others and do you.
That's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
I love it, man. Anytime.
Yeah, I want to do it again, but hopefully next time we'll be in the lounge. We can burn some sticks while we're there.
Yeah, well, we can always have a cigar anytime, though.
Anytime, man. Yeah. All right, man. Well, man. Rick, I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
I hope I'm going to see you soon down at the lounge.
You know what's great about me being in the warehouse right now?
What's that?
I'm not leaving without a lot of products.
Oh, yeah. We're going to juice you up, man.
I don't have to take them from you anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to
take
yank
the hair ties.
You guys don't even know. He'll just yank them off my wrist, man.
Give me that hair tie. I'm getting my own supply right now. I love it.
All right, man. Well, beautiful conversation as always, man. Hopefully the next one we'll do over stogie.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you.
All right, fellas. Tune in next time. And until then, soup!